Okay.
An all-points bulletin out by a street gang, the Latin Kings, on ICE agents. Is that is this?
Yeah. So they got the. Now they have people trying to shoot at them. They have the individual states governments trying to get them doxxed. They have people doxing them. They have bounties from cartel members. Like, come on.
This kind of war between our federal government and these cartels and street gangs boiling up, or is it too soon to kind of make a determination on that?
Oh no, it's there. It's been there, and it's getting worse. And I said, Joey, back in March on the Fox show, I said if the hateful rhetoric continues, especially from members of Congress, saying comparing ICE and Nazis and racists and the Gestapo, there's going to be bloodshed. This shooting at the Border Patrol in Chicago, just the latest shooting. We had a shooting at a Border Patrol facility in Texas a few months ago. That shooter was killed by Border Patrol. We had another guy showed up at an ICE office in Dallas, killed 2 detainees. He shot himself. Another guy showed up at a detention facility in Texas, wounded a local police officer that responded to the scene to help the ICE officers in that facility. Several aliens have been shot and killed during these operations. And the bottom line is the bloodshed is going to continue. As long as the rhetoric continues, especially from members of Congress, it emboldens the bad guy to take actions against ICE and Border Patrol agents.
Yeah, you'd imagine Pritzker, Johnson will do something about it.
Well, Tom, it's great to talk to you. I want to stick with Chicago right now because their illustrious mayor, Brandon Johnson, is asking the United Nations to intervene to stop your operations. Here is what he said for the UN Human Rights Council. Listen to this.
The federal government's immigration enforcement has been marked by violence and an assault on the dignity of all Chicagoans. I call on this council to hold the federal government of the United States to the same standards of accountability you apply elsewhere in the world. No country should be above international law. I urge the Human Rights Council to consider additional measures of accountability, including a special session to examine the worsening human rights crisis in the United States.
Tom, this is just pure lunacy, but what is your reaction to all of that?
He's just proving he's not that smart, right? I mean, asking the United Nations to,
Bro, like, what? What the fuck? That's so weird, man.
Nations to talk, interfere with ICE enforcing U.S. law. It's like asking an arsonist how to stop a fire, because the UN, remember, the IOM, the part of the UN, helped fund the mass migration during the Biden administration 4 years, spending millions upon millions of dollars helping that migration, international migration, come to the United States. So, the United Nations is not going to tell President Trump what to do. President Trump was put in office on the promise of making this country safe again, on the promise of having the historic deportation.
So he's trying to get in contact with the United Nations for one fucking state in America, dude? Are you on something? How this guy must think that he lives on like King of the Hill or something.
That's exactly what America's getting. Every criminal alien ICE and Border Patrol takes off the street makes this country safer. We have the most secure border in the history of the nation right now because of leadership of President Trump, the men and women of the Border Patrol, and because ICE, what ICE is doing in the interior every day, they've sent a message across the globe. Don't spend your life savings, cross the border illegally, think you're going to get away in the United States. Because of what ICE is doing, people aren't spending their life savings, putting themselves in harm's way. Thousands of people aren't dying making that journey. Thousands of Americans aren't dying from fentanyl because that's secure border. But the actions of the interior, the ICE and Border Patrol, has a lot to do why we have the most secure border in the history of this nation today.
And you're doing such a great job, Tom. Kevin Cork here. You're also limiting trafficking. People don't talk nearly enough about that. This administration has done so much to try to curtail what has been an absolute disaster for so many young women and children.
I don't know how the hell people get elected, like the mayor of Chicago, and then you got the LA mayor. Like, I don't know what the fuck. That is just... I feel like on the next elections, if they're either going to get voted out because of all this insanity they're putting through, or they're actually just cooked in those two states, man. That's all I can think of, man. Like, I don't know what. I don't know how.
Just a moment to ICE detainments. You may have read this. CBS is actually reporting that there are somewhere in the area of 66,000 detainees in ICE custody.
Jesus.
That's a 70% increase, by the way, since the president took office, and it's a new record high. But there are others, Tom, reporting that ICE is now considering buying large warehouses to hold the influx of illegal aliens. And so I'm wondering tonight if you can give us any insight on this, and is capacity becoming a real issue? And
Like,
if
think
so,
about 66,000 people. Even if you had like 200 illegal immigrants in a community, that is more than enough to overturn most of the community, because they take all the jobs, getting paid pennies on the dollar, work for like 12 hours a day, and every time they go against what their employer wants, they just get thrown in their face. Well, we'll deport you if you don't do what we say. They don't take on health insurance. And for the most part, these people are just happy to be here. And then they like all get together and they buy houses up and stuff. So like what are we doing here?
you're dealing with it.
Well, I looked at the numbers about, an hour ago. We're about 65,000.
Okay.
But hold on tight, because we're going to soon be at 100,000. Right beginning of February, I spent hundreds of trips up to Capitol Hill talking with senators and congressmen, the big, beautiful bill, telling them why we need 100,000 beds. We're going to get those 100,000 beds very soon. And the reason why there's 100,000 beds, because an average bed turns over 10 times a year, right? The average length of stay is 30 to 35 days. So every ICE bed turns over 10 times a year. Well, you got 100,000 beds, and those beds turn over 10 times. What do you got? You got 1 million. So, 100,000 beds will come online soon.
He's got a point.
So if people are having a fit about 65,000, you're going to really have a fit when 100,000 beds are online. That's what we need to do this operation. Everybody we arrest needs a bed, because we don't simply arrest somebody and put them on a plane within a half hour. They got to be bedded down. They got to get travel documents and plane arrangements and removal, itineraries put in place. So we need a bed for everybody arrest. So 100,000 beds was the game plan.
That's crazy.
It's coming soon. And when we get 100,000 beds and 10,000 new agents, you think we're doing well now? We got historic number of deportations right now under President Trump. Those numbers going to pale in comparison to next year.
Hey, Tom, it's Nicole Sapphire. I want to switch gears, go to the New York City mayoral election. It took one day for
That's
mayor-elect.
crazy. That's actually crazy, though.